February 28th, 2010, over 27 million people watched as national pride and Olympic history collided on Vancouver ice. Canada came into the game desperate for a record 14th gold on home soil, while the USA arrived with underdog swagger. One game, one goal could define a legacy. The Americans had momentum after a 42-save performance from Ryan Miller that stunned the hockey world. Canada felt the weight of expectation, a stacked roster, and the pressure of winning at home. Very few people realize how many small moments nearly unraveled everything before Sidney Crosby's golden goal made him a legend. What really happened in the game that turned him into a legend? Canada Hockey Place pulsed with anticipation on February 28, 2010. The city of Vancouver, already transformed by the Winter Olympics, braced for a showdown that reached far beyond the rink. Streets were deserted as families, neighbors, and strangers crowded around screens in living rooms, bars, and public squares. Over 27 million Canadians tuned in, nearly 4 out of every 5 people in the country. The game drew the largest hockey audience in more than 30 years, with millions more watching across the border and around the world. The stakes could not have been higher. For the host nation, this was about more than a gold medal. Canada's Olympic campaign had already broken records, with 27 total medals and 13 gold medals, the highest ever for a Canadian Winter Games. But one more win on home ice would set a new standard, a 14th gold, the most ever claimed by any host nation at a Winter Olympics. The pressure was everywhere, thick in the air and etched on every face in the arena. Hockey is more than a sport in Canada. It is a living thread running through the country's identity. Memories of a 7th place finish in Turin 4 years earlier still stung. Redemption had become a national mission. Children wore jerseys bearing the names of their heroes: Crosby, Iginla, Luongo. Flags draped over shoulders, painted on cheeks, and waved from balconies and car antennas. Across the ice, Team USA carried its own story. The rivalry between these neighbors had fueled generations of Olympic dreams and heartbreaks, but now the Americans arrived as underdogs, their confidence shaped by a stunning preliminary round victory over Canada just days before. The tension between hope and anxiety, pride and fear, filled every second leading up to the opening face-off. In that charged atmosphere, every pass, every save, every bounce of the puck carried the weight of a nation's expectations. The gold medal game was not just about who would win. It was about who would define themselves on the world stage, and whose story would echo for decades to come. Just a week before the gold medal game, Team USA stunned Canada with a 5-3 victory. Ryan Miller turned aside 42 of 45 shots that night, building a wall in net and sending a message that the Americans were more than just plucky underdogs. For Canada, that defeat forced a hard decision. Coach Mike Babcock, facing the pressure of a nation, replaced Martin Brodeur, one of hockey's most decorated goaltenders, with Roberto Luongo. Brodeur had struggled with rebound control and allowed 4 goals on 22 shots against the USA, while Luongo brought the confidence of a hometown star and a hot hand from earlier in the tournament. The switching goal became a turning point. Luongo started every elimination game from then on, anchoring a Canadian team that suddenly looked unstoppable. In the quarterfinal, Canada overpowered Germany 8-2. The game became a highlight reel when Shea Weber's slap shot tore straight through the netting. A moment so powerful, officials needed a video review just to confirm the goal. Next came Russia, a perennial powerhouse. Canada dismantled them 7-3, with Sidney Crosby scoring twice and the team's depth overwhelming their rivals at every turn. But the semifinal against Slovakia proved anything but routine. Canada jumped out to a 3-0 lead, but Slovakia clawed back, pressing Luongo with a late barrage. Only a dramatic glove save in the dying seconds preserved a 3-2 win and sent Canada to the final. On the other side, the Americans moved through their knockout games with cold efficiency. They blanked Switzerland 2-0, with Miller recording a shutout, then edged Finland 2-1 in a tightly contested semifinal. Across those two games, the USA outscored their opponents 4-1, letting their defense and goaltending do the talking. The young American squad, averaging just over 27 years old, played with a fearless edge and none of the burden of history weighing on their shoulders. To bring out the tension and perspective of those days, the documentary weaves in voices from both sides. Mike Babcock explains the gut feeling behind the goalie switch. Ryan Miller reflects on the mindset needed to withstand Canada's onslaught. Roberto Luongo describes the pressure and privilege of playing for gold in his own NHL arena. And from the American bench, players like Zach Parise and Patrick Kane share what it felt like to chase destiny with nothing to lose. Their words, layered over the action, capture the momentum swings, the doubts, and the belief that carried both teams to the edge of Olympic history. 12 minutes into the first period, Jonathan Toews found the opening Canada desperately needed. Mike Richards pressed deep on the forecheck, forcing a turnover behind the American net. The puck slid out front, and Toews, just 21 years old, snapped home his first Olympic goal. The arena erupted, red and white flags waving as the scoreboard read 1-0 for the hosts. Canada pressed their advantage in the second period. Corey Perry, already with 3 goals in the tournament, pounced on a loose puck in the slot and beat Ryan Miller low to the glove side. With a 2-0 lead, the home crowd swelled with hope, sensing a runaway. But the Americans answered almost immediately. Patrick Kane, the youngest skater on the USA roster, slipped behind the Canadian defense and finished a quick pass to cut the lead in half. Now it was 2-1, and the tension in the building snapped taut. Ryan Kessler nearly tied it minutes later, deflecting a shot that forced Roberto Luongo into a sprawling save. Both benches leaned forward, every shift bracing for the next mistake. Canada clung to their 1-goal cushion as the clock ticked down. Then, with less than a minute remaining, the USA bench called timeout. Miller was pulled for an extra attacker, and the Americans flooded the zone. A scramble erupted in front of Luongo, sticks, skates, and bodies tangled in a desperate heap. Zach Parise, parked at the top of the crease, jabbed at a loose puck, and jammed it over the line with just 25 seconds left. Silence fell. The lead was gone, and the gold medal in this game would be decided in overtime. Overtime in the Olympic gold medal game meant sudden death, 20 minutes of 4-on-4 hockey, with every shift a potential ending. The crowd, still stunned from Parise's late equalizer, barely had time to catch its breath. Coaches tightened their benches. Mike Babcock leaned on his best, Sidney Crosby, and Jerome Iginla, with Scott Niedermayer patrolling the blue line. The Americans countered with Ryan Miller, the tournament's most valuable player, locked in behind a wall of defense. The next goal would decide everything. 7 minutes and 40 seconds ticked away in a blur of end-to-end rushes and desperate clears, then a heartbeat of chaos. Niedermayer, skating backwards at his own blue line, tried to move the puck up ice but lost control. For a split second, it looked like disaster. Zach Parise and Jamie Langenbrunner nearly broke free, only to be denied by a quick stick from Duncan Keith. The puck rattled loose, bouncing awkwardly toward the sideboards. Along the wall, referee Bill McCreary found himself tangled in the scrum. The puck stuck for a moment, trapped near skates and shins. Crosby circled, eyes locked on the play, and shouted Iggy. Iginla, battling in the corner, heard the call. In one motion, he chipped the puck out of the scrum and slid it into open ice. Crosby lunged, catching the pass on his backhand, then snapped a quick shot through Miller's legs. The puck slid under the pads and into history. Canada exploded. The golden goal came at 7 minutes and 40 seconds of overtime, the finish to a game and a dream that would echo across generations. Crosby's overtime winner did not just clinch gold, it redefined what a single moment can mean for a nation's identity. More than a decade later, its echo fuels every Canadian rink and every young player's dream. Greatness isn't just witnessed, it's still being chased. Share your thoughts below.